Hey Greg, this is going to be a semi-quick video on how to help us implement mud into our SDK and how you can contribute to extend the SDK to support mud. The prerequisite for it are the following. You need the .NET 8.0 and you can download it with the brew install cask command, so that's pretty easy. And the second thing that you need is Unity, because we want to test out some stuff in Unity. So the first thing that you're going to do is call Unity Hub on the address bar of your favorite browser and just download it from here. And next thing, after you have downloaded the Unity Hub and activated the free license or created an account for Unity, you need to go to Google again and type in Unity Archive and go to here and download a specific version of Unity, because they are kind of incompatible amongst each other. We have this Unity sample project and we see that it's on 2021.3.22 and we need to install that version. It's right here, and you click on Unity Hub and it's going to open it. The only thing that I would suggest for you to install with this 2021.3.22 is maybe a WebGL plugin, because like add modules, and you would add WebGL build support just for the sake of you potentially testing stuff out, nothing else. Now let's say that you have installed both .NET and Unity. Let's open Visual Studio Code and let's see what other extensions there you need to install. As you can see here, you need C# Dev Kit. I also have the C# and .NET install tool, IntelliCode for C# Dev Kit, and Unity. Those are kind of not mandatory, but C# Dev Kit and Unity are a must-have. Without them, code completion and loading the projects would not work. Now that we have that in place, let's go and open our SDK. I have it already here. So this is how the project looks like on GitHub, and if you clone it, it's going to look exactly like this to you. So we can just select this folder. This is not something that we should worry about. And it's essentially going to open you some pop-up here and say there are multiple solutions that you can open, but you should click on it and there should be like, do you want to open Chainsafe Gaming or Unity Sample Project? You would say that you want to open Chainsafe Gaming because that's where all of the stuff you're going to add. This is how our Chainsafe Gaming project looks like, or solution, because solution essentially in C# language is multiple, like it consists of multiple projects. And the thing that matters to us the most is Web3. It has three essential interfaces. They are iRPC provider, iSigner, and iTransaction Executor, and they are there to provide like sending RPCs to blockchain, signer that signs transactions, messages, and everything else, and Transaction Executor is what is supposed to send transactions to the blockchain. Others are not that important, and we are getting them like iTransaction Executor, iSigner, and iRPC provider through dependency injection with this service provider. If you need any more in-depth on how dependency injection works in C#, let me know and I'll explain that deeper. But I don't think that's necessary for now. But essentially what we are going to do is we are going to create a new project. And the new project is going to be class library. And class library, we are going to call it chainsafe.gaming.mud, because you're going to implement mud, I guess. And we are not going to use the default directory, because default directory is something different than the src, where we want all of our projects to be located. And as you can see, this is a Visual Studio Code bug. src is located here, but all of them belong to the same project. And when this is created, we need to go to chainsafe.gaming.unity and also add our mud project that we have created here. So I'm just going to copy and paste this here. And we're going to say .mud and here .mud. And that should make stuff work. Now, if you see here, chainsafe.gaming, here it says .NET 8.0, and that is something that we don't want to use. We are going to copy and paste stuff from chainsafe.gaming.chainlink.csproy, and we're going to paste it in the mud.csproy, because we need to use the .NET Standard 2.1, and we need to include the Chainsafe Gaming project as a dependency, because we are going to heavily rely on Web3 class and Web3 service collection. Let's delete this class, because it doesn't now exist. We're going to close all of this, and we are going to add a new file, and we are going to call it mud. But first we need to click on class and type mud. It's going to create this class, and we are going to add a new file, an interface called imud. Why imud? You must say, like, I is a convention in C# that you use when you're creating an interface. So we are going to say that our class here inherits from imud, or implements this interface. In C#, you can inherit from one class, but you can implement from many interfaces. And now comes the part where I'll show you how you can actually extend our SDK by our SDK being able to know about this mud class, connect mud to the rest of our project. How we are going to achieve that? We are going to achieve that with mud, with something called extension class. Let me just write it up, and you will see right away how it's supposed to be working. Mud extensions. And that's going to be a static class. And what, I guess you know what static class means, that you can access it from wherever you want. And let's add here public static iWeb3 service collection, use mud, this iWeb3 service collection services, and we are going to return services first of all. But before that, we are going to check services.assert service not bound imud. That's the interface that we're using, because everything in the C# world, in the dependency injection world in C# actually, is revolving around interfaces. And here we can see that we can add singleton imud mud, but we see that our services do not contain a definition for add singleton, because we need to inherit another interface, or implement another interface here, that is called life cycle participant. This is something that we have created. And here in will start async and will stop async, you can provide some sort of methods or calls to wherever when you know that our Web3 instance has been built. Because mud does get injected, or all interfaces get injected before we call the will start async. So will start async will be called after everything has been built. But for now, we don't need anything here, and we can just return default, and that's going to be that for now on the mud class. But on the mud extension class, we need to also add life cycle participant. Now, as I already said, use mud means that we are going to add mud to our services, and mud is going to be available to us at all times throughout our application. But now comes the part where we need to actually retrieve the instance of mud that we have created here. We can call public static mud imud because everything is an interface, and we can just call mud. And here, as this is an extension method, we are not going to use iWeb3 service collection, because iWeb3 service collection is only used when we are actually building the Web3 instance with Web3 Builder, but we are going to use our Web3, Web3, we're going to use the Web3 object that our Web3 Builder actually created. And here we're going to retrieve our imud by typing in return Web3 service provider that get required service imud. And just like that, you would be able to use mud implementation inside of this project, and of course Unity project that we are going to jump in a second. But before I finish this, I want to do an important thing, and that is to go here and type in scripts, cd scripts, and we are going to call publish to Unity package.bat, because I'm on Windows, but for you that would be .sh. And what will this do? This will build all of the solutions that we have here, and it will transfer all of their DLLs into Unity. If you've done that, you should see there's a bunch of written lines here, but the most important thing for us to see is that in the list of all the copied files, we have mud here. And that means that we have successfully built everything, and we can use our mud class inside of Unity. Now open the project. It's going to take some time. When you've opened the project, just go to Window, Package Manager. Click here on Packages, Unity Registry, and make sure to install Visual Studio Editor. That's the important thing, because that's going to make your Visual Studio Code work with Unity. Of course, there is in project, I don't think you can install even Visual Studio Editor, because in your in project there is a Visual Studio Code editor, and that's something that we had to get rid of. And now we can safely install this Visual Studio Editor. There should be an install button for you here, but I already have it, so I don't need it. Now, just to make sure, you go to Edit, Preferences, And in the external tools, I'm using Writer here, but you can use Visual Studio Code. And if we go to Assets, Open C# Project, we should get a new window in which it's going to open Unity project for us in Visual Studio Code. If it doesn't do that, you should go to Web3 Unity, SRC, Unity sample project, and select that folder. It's going to take some time to restore all of these projects, but even while it's restoring it, I can show you how you can use mud inside of the Unity project itself. Let's just quickly go back to Unity and just to show you what Unity editor consists of. On the left hand side we have something called hierarchy, and it has something we call game objects. So all of the game objects are main camera, event system, logic. And then if you see a little arrow here, that means that it has some children, because this essentially is a tree consisting of root nodes, and all of these are root nodes, and these are the child nodes of this node. On the middle, we have several windows. We have scene view, game view, we have the animator, but that's not important. On the right hand side, we have something called inspector, and inspector has all the components that the thing on the left, the game object on the left, has. Every component needs something called a transform. As you can see, if I create an empty game object, it has a transform, it has a name, and that's it. Transform is something that's used to set the position, rotation, and scale of the object, but that's something that I assume you are not going to use here. And as you can see here, the canvas has a canvas component, it has a canvas scaler, it has a graphic raycaster, and none of those should matter that much to you. And we have this Web3 auth login component that we have made so that people can log in with Web3 auth. On the bottom, as you might assume, we have project window. Project window is where all of our stuff are located in, and that includes scripts, that includes buttons, anything else. And this Web3 auth login script is also located here. And we are going to go through it and through a script called login in a sec. Now, as I already mentioned, this is the project window. And as we can see here, we don't have mud DLL anywhere. And why is that? That is because we haven't done an extra crucial step that is going to copy mud here, and that is to go to Chainsafe Web3 Unity scripts into the data folder, and we can see this publish dependencies.txt. And as you can see, there is a lot of stuff here, but we can add a semicolon here and call chainsafe.gaming.mud, save the file, and that should fix our issue. And then once again, we are going to run scripts publish to Unity package.bat or .sh. And after a couple of seconds, we give Unity a chance to compile C# scripts and to recognize the mud file that we have given it. And as you can see, if we type mud here and we select all, so not in assets, not in packages, but all, we would have our DLL in here. And important note, every time you are doing something in the chainsafe.gaming project, you would always have to go to scripts and publish to Unity in order for Unity sample project to see all the changes that you have made. Now let's go to the Unity sample project, and we had here Web3 auth login opened, but let's open the login script here, because login script is the core of the logging process. And as you can see here, we have Web3 builder here and Web3 builder constructor that loads the project configuration from Unity. And then we are configuring all the services that we want to use in our SDK. Throughout, as you can see here, we have services that use Unity environment, use Gelato, use multicall, use RPC provider, and finally, we can call use MUD, and it's going to import the SDK or the namespace here, and we see using chainsafe.gaming.mud, and now we have mud integrated into our Web3 instance. Now, we have Web3 here, but now we need to use our mud to do something. Like, we don't have anything in the class definition, but we can say web3.mud, and we need to use it like this because it is an extension method, and that is quote unquote unlucky, but we just have to work with this. And you can then call whatever you have made here. For example, if we had like in the imud interface, if we had a method public void hello, you could have used it. And because now, of course, we need to implement it here, let's do a quick setup here. And actually, let's show the dependency injection in action. We are going to use log writer, and that is something that we are providing in Unity, and we can see private read only log writer, and we are going to assign it here, of course, and our copilot is going to assist us in that. And in hello, we are going to say log writer.hello from mud. Now that we have done that, as I already said, we just run this script, publish the Unity package.bat. It's finished. And now if we go to Unity, just wait for Unity to recognize everything and give it a moment. We have it here, and in the login.cs, we should hopefully see. We just need a couple of more seconds for Visual Studio Code to recognize it. So Web3, as we can see here, .hello. If for whatever reason you are not getting the .hello, I would suggest that you just close Visual Studio Code and go to Assets, open C# project, because for whatever reason, VS Code doesn't recognize that new files have been added to the project, and that can maybe cause some issues for you. So just keep this in mind. And if we go to sample login and click on play, that will get us in the so-called play mode. And click here to continue with Google. Let me just pause this video. And we can see here that it authenticated successfully. And as we can see here, we have this hello from mud. These are not that important. They don't cause any issues for us now. But this is the important thing. Hello from mud has been called. And as I said, if you need any other help with this, don't hesitate to ping me.